Hi, all. This is Craig Cook with Acre Mortgage. I hope all is well. I wanted to create this video to go over a strategy that's probably being used a lot more now than in previous years. And this helps both buyers and sellers of properties. So, I want to go over first what a 2-to-1 buy down is. If you notice in the beginning, or the thumbnail where this particular video is about, a strategy called a 2-to-1 buy down. So what this does, this 2-to-1 buy down, is a temporary interest rate reduction. So the interest rate based on whether it's a 2-to-1 or a 3 2-to-1 buy down, what that means is that it's going to start off for the first 12 months 2% lower than the note rate. If it was a 3 2-to-1 buy down, it would be starting off 3% lower than the note rate. And what's happening is let's just say, for example, in this scenario, you have a 6.75% note rate. That means the first year you're going to pay for 12 months a 4.75% interest rate. The second year you're going to pay 5.75, and the third year you're going to begin at the note rate through the duration of the rest of the loan. You're going to pay the note rate. So this is, really helpful for people in a sense in a market where we have higher interest rates than normal, and gives you some temporary relief and the ability to possibly refinance if rates go down within that 2 years. Works is you're basically have a set of funds put aside, and the set of funds are derived from taking the difference of the note rate and the bought down interest rate each month, and then multiplying that by 12. That's your first year of buy down funds. And the second year of buy down funds is accumulated in a similar fashion, which it's the note rate minus the second year rate. Whatever that principal and interest difference is, you multiply that by 12, and that's your second year of buy down funds. Now, the buyer can't pay for this buy down. Honestly, it wouldn't make sense for you to pay for this buy down, because anybody can put away money on their own and treat a scenario themselves like a 2-to-1 buy down. Right? I can save money on my own, put the difference aside in a bank account, and make it feel like I'm paying a 4.75 interest rate with my own funds. There's no advantage for you to do that. But a seller can pay those buy down funds. And we're going to go over an example of how that might be helpful for a seller and helpful for a buyer. But first, I want to kind of paint the picture of what the buy down looks like. So we have here an example of the start rate, right, which would be, in this situation, the note rate would be 6.75% interest, and the start rate would be 4.75%. Now, your 6.75% option right here, okay, is 3502.43. That doesn't change, right? So that's going to be your note rate payment, your principal and interest payment. So if we look at the difference, right, your 4.75 payment, interest rate payment, principal and interest figure is 2816.90. The difference, right, is going to be right here, 685.53 each month. You multiply that by 12, and you get buy down figures in the amount of $8,226.36. The second year, you're paying 5.75. The difference between a 5.75 interest rate principal and interest payment and the 6.75% interest rate payment gives you a difference of $351.14 a month. At 12 payments, your total buy down for that second year is going to be 4213.68. Sorry if I'm crossing out some stuff here. Your total buy down funds would be 12,440.04. Now, if the seller contributes and pays for that buy down, that gives a buyer a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of good things that can come out of that. Number one, you're saving a bunch of money that normally you would be paying, 3502, but you're saving in the first year 685.53 a month. This allows you to do maybe certain things that you wouldn't have the capability of doing. Maybe stocking some money away to put towards renovating the house a little bit. Maybe there's an opportunity down the road, right? Maybe interest rates get lower. And in my opinion, I feel like we're probably closer to the top of where the market is as far as interest rates are concerned. So the next thing to happen would be that we're going to see some decline in interest rates eventually. And that could possibly happen within the next 2 years. So you could refinance, right, down the line. Some advantages for a seller, right? Let's just say, for example, you have a house on the market, right, that's sitting there for 30 days or 45 days and you haven't gotten the offers that you wanted. This will be very attractive if you pay for this buy down, right? So if you were to pay for this buy down, and I'll give you an example, it's 12,440. Normally, what would you do as a seller to kind of increase attraction to make more buyers interested in making offers? That might be a price reduction. So instead of a price reduction, maybe it's, kind of advertising or marketing in such a way that you would be paying this buy down for the buyers and keeping the price similar without a price reduction. And we'll go into that in just a little bit on that example. But I just wanted to kind of go over the details of what a 2-to-1 buy down is. It's just a temporary buy down of the interest rate for a set period of time. In this case, the most common buy down is a 2-to-1 buy down. It just means you're starting off 2% lower than what the actual note rate is. And then the next year, it's 1% lower than the actual note rate. And then you'll begin in the third year to pay your note rate, your 3502.43 in principal and interest every year moving forward. Another advantage for the buyers too in this situation is that, let's just say, for example, you do the buy down and let's just say on the 13th month, right, you have the ability to refinance and rates go down to 5%, right? Your note rate is still going to be 6.75 in this example. So if you're able to refinance to a 5% interest rate, you could take advantage of that. But the good thing is that this money that's set aside to buy down the interest rate that's put forth by the seller at the time of settlement, you'd have $4,200 left over to reduce the principal of what's owed on the loan, because those buy down funds are your funds, sort of like an escrow account. That money is your money to pay taxes and insurance. So if you sell or refinance, your loan, or sell a property and pay off the loan, that escrow account is your money that gets refunded back to you. So this is a similar situation or scenario where this money is set aside for you. If you refinance before the 24 months is up, you're going to get a portion of the buy down funds back to be reduced towards your principal and interest, which reduces cost in refinancing as well. So there's some really good benefits to doing this. So let's take a look at an example of what this means for you. So we have a standard purchase price of $600,000 with 10% down, and 90% of the purchase price would be $540,000. Here's a breakdown of what your payment would be with taxes and insurance. And I can include the link to this so you guys can see, the breakdown of settlement fees and so forth. But all the property taxes are the same. Homeowners insurance is the same. Mortgage insurance is the same across the board until we get to this 3% price reduction, and I'll show you that as well. But principal and interest, right? 3502.43. We saw that in the example of the 2-to-1 buy down. But to save $685 a month for the first 12 months, that's incredible, right? And to know that you might, as a buyer, be able to get some of those funds back if you refinance, that's an awesome thing. It's providing temporary relief, especially in a heightened market where interest rates are high, and that you might be able to, kind of weather the storm and buy the house that you want until there's an opportunity to refinance and get a lower monthly payment. So here's the example of the 2-1 buy down, right? This is your difference in payment, which would be $685. And I wanted to give an example of a permanent buy down, right? Let's just say this, you're a seller and you want to market different ways to attract buyers. You could pay for a permanent buy down, right? Which is paying a percentage of the loan to drop the interest rate a certain percentage. Well, that's not going to do a ton, and it's for the life of the loan, right? This is if we look at what the cost is for a permanent buy down, we can look at the more info tab and see what the additional cost is in points, right? So this permanent buy down is $10,800, and let's see if I can break this down even further. I could just quickly do it on my calculator. So that's 2%, right? So let's just say you're paying 2% to get a quarter difference in interest rate. Typically, 1% of your loan amount will get you an eighth better in your interest rate over the life of the loan, sometimes a quarter. But I just wanted to show you the worst case scenario. At worst, 1% is usually going to give you at minimum an eighth of a percent reduction. But okay, as a seller, you could pay that for somebody, right? In this case, we're talking about giving assistance to cover $12,440, right? In this case, you would be giving assistance to cover $10,800. So not too much difference in terms of what the seller would be helping the buyer with in that situation. Let's look at and in this case, it's only saving them $89, right, in their monthly payment compared to the standard loan with no price reduction, right? We see here it's comparing this monthly payment to this monthly payment. It's not a crazy amount of savings. So that's not going to really attract a lot more offers, right? By paying for that permanent rate buy down, especially when, like I talked about earlier, if there's an opportunity to refinance in 2 years, let's just say the rates go to 5%. That's real. This is not really helpful because you paid, right, that extra money to buy down the rate permanently, and now you're going to refinance again and take advantage of getting a lower interest rate. So it was irrelevant to pay that money because you're basically going to end up refinancing to a lower rate with no costs, right, or possibly no cost involved. So it was kind of irrelevant to do that. Then you have the other scenario, which is you got a 3% price reduction, right? So that means that, okay, I'm going to, as a seller, your agent might suggest lowering the price of the house by 3%. Well, what does that do, for your buyer, right? By cutting off $18,000, right? You only save $108 a month, right? By putting 10% down and having the same interest rate. So it's not as impactful as this would be. Even though this is temporary, it's good in markets like this simply because it's we know that there are going to be opportunities eventually where a refinance is more relevant, right? A refinance is more likely to happen in a in this window of time, this 2 years that the rate is bought down. Um, so this kind of gives you an idea of how the 2-to-1 buy down works and some scenarios that if you're a listing agent or you're a seller, you can kind of see, okay, which way would be more helpful to attract buyers. This is just another way of helping attract buyers to to make an offer on a house by doing this program. And most lenders offer this program, and there's really no differences in qualifying. In a sense, you do have to qualify off the note rate, the original note rate, which in this case would be 6.75, but there's no additional things that need to be done. And then for the benefit for the buyers, like we said, it's temporary relief, and the benefit that if you refinance right into a lower interest rate, let's say a year from now, whatever funds are left in from the buy down from the initial investment, those funds get refunded to you and used towards the principal of the balance remaining. So that helps reduce what you owe on your loan, essentially reducing the cost of refinancing. So it's kind of a win-win situation if you think about it. If you'd like to learn more about this program or you have questions about any other products, feel free to reach out. I hope this video helped you out. Thanks.